The average person will spend roughly 90,000 hours working. 90,000 hours. That's more than 10 years of your life. Not sleeping, not eating, not living, working. But here's the strange part. For almost all human history, that number was zero. No jobs, no resumes, no interviews, no careers, no performance reviews, no retirement plans. So here's the question. What did ancient humans understand about work that we've forgotten? Most people assume ancient humans spent every waking moment trying to survive. Scientists assumed that too. Then in 1963, an anthropologist named Richard Lee decided to measure it. He tracked a hunter-gatherer group called the Kung. He wanted to know how much time they actually spent getting food. The answer shocked him. 17 hours per week. That's it. 17. Today, many people work more than 40 hours every week. And this wasn't a one-off result. Researchers kept finding the same pattern. Different places, different people, the same answer. At this point, you might be thinking, sure. But life must have been harder. That's exactly what many scientists assumed. Then they looked at the bones. And the bones told a very different story. When archaeologists compared hunter-gatherers to early farmers, something strange appeared. The farmers were often shorter. Their teeth had more cavities. Their bodies showed signs of repetitive labor. But the hunter-gatherers looked different. Taller, stronger, healthier teeth. Fewer signs of repetitive strain. In many cases, they were physically healthier. Think about that. The moment humans started working more, their bodies often got worse. And that's not an opinion. That's what the evidence says. But the biggest difference between their world and ours wasn't health. It was community. Among hunter-gatherer groups like the Hadza, food isn't a personal victory. It's shared. If one person succeeds, everyone eats. Tomorrow someone else succeeds, and they share. The system works because trust matters more than competition. Imagine living in a world where your survival depends on your relationships, not your income, not your job title, not your social status. Anthropologists found that people often spent hours every day simply being together, talking, laughing, helping, telling stories. No productivity app would call this efficient, but humans aren't machines. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Many people today spend more time with screens than with friends. More time answering emails than having conversations. And somehow, we're surprised loneliness keeps rising. Then again, maybe we shouldn't be. Here's something strange. For most of human history, people didn't retire. But today, millions of people spend their entire lives dreaming about it. The dream is simple. One day, the alarm stops. The meetings stop. The deadlines stop. The schedule disappears. And finally, life can begin. More time, more family, more freedom, more mornings that belong to you. And that's where things get interesting. Because think about what we're actually saying. Many people spend 40 years working, so they can eventually live the way humans once lived by default. Not with modern medicine, not with modern technology, not with modern comforts, but with something many people want more than anything else: time. Time to sit, time to think, time to be with family, time to watch the sunrise without somewhere else to be. In a strange way, the dream at the end of modern life looks a lot like the beginning of ancient life. And that's where this story takes a turn. Because if humans worked less, had stronger communities, and often healthier bodies. About 10,000 years ago, humans accidentally created a problem they could never escape. The invention was agriculture. And at first, it looked like the perfect solution. Grow food, store food, feed more people. Simple. Except it wasn't. Because more food created more people. And more people needed more food, which required more farming. which created even more people. And suddenly, the cycle never stopped. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans worked when they needed to. Now survival required constant labor. Plant, protect, harvest, repeat. Again, and again, and again. The amount of work exploded, and once enough people depended on the system, there was no going back. Agriculture had become a trap. Of course, the trap came with rewards. Agriculture gave us cities, writing, technology, medicine, civilization itself. Everything we call progress, but every gain came with a cost. And the cost was time. For the first time in history, time no longer belonged to people. Time belonged to the fields. Remember that number? 90,000 hours. That's the average amount of time one person spends working. Not over 10 different lives, not over 100 years. One life, yours. Imagine every morning you ever wake up. Now imagine giving away 1 out of every 3. 1 out of every 3 mornings. 1 out of every 3 conversations. 1 out of every 3 sunsets. 1 out of every 3 moments your life could have been lived. That was the price. And we paid it for something. The question isn't whether civilization was worth it. Medicine, technology, safer lives, longer lives. Those are extraordinary achievements. I wouldn't give those up. But nothing this valuable comes free. Every civilization pays. We paid with time, with freedom, with each other. And after enough generations, the price stopped feeling like a choice. It simply became normal. Ancient humans weren't happier because life was easy. It wasn't. Life could be dangerous, sometimes brutal. Modern civilization solved many of those problems, and that's one of humanity's greatest achievements. But every solution changes something. Over thousands of years, work slowly stopped supporting life, and life slowly began supporting work. That may be the biggest change of all. Ancient humans worked so they could live. Today, many of us live so we can work. Maybe that's the lesson they never had to learn because they never forgot it. So let me ask you something. If you could keep modern medicine, technology, safe homes, and longer lives, but build a world where work served life again, would you? Maybe that's not really a question about ancient humans. Maybe it's a question about us.